This is the moment a chainsaw-wielding maniac chased a police officer down the street in broad daylight. Liridon Kastrati had just crashed into a police car in Paisley, Renfrewshire when he grabbed the chainsaw and gave chase to PC Gary Cowan on May 6, 2024. The 32-year-old Albanian who tried to kill the officer was sentenced to 10 years in jail at the High Court in Glasgow. As Kastrati was convicted of the attempted murder of PC Cowan, he called the judge a f***ing terrorist. He shouted at Judge William Gallagher once his sentence was passed, "You are a f***ing terrorist, you are a f***ing terrorist, your country is a f***ing terrorist." Kastrati was convicted of attempting to murder PC Cowan by the judge after initially being accused of trying to kill a total of 4 officers.
The scene could have been one of carnage. In imposing sentence, the court recognises and acknowledges that police officers have a wide range of duties and responsibilities. And in this case, having carried out more routine, but nevertheless important tasks, they were confronted with an act of horrific violence. The court must have regard to the public service provided by police officers who daily put themselves in positions of danger, even if they have no warning that such a situation will arise. I'm satisfied that for all of the reasons I have sought to explain, I must impose upon you a very significant penalty. And accordingly, I impose upon you a sentence of 10 years imprisonment.
PC Cowan told the trial in Paisley that he was in a police car with a colleague when a Volkswagen driven by Kastrati crashed into the side of the vehicle, activating the airbag. Kastrati then got out of the driver's side, momentarily stopped and started to run away. The officer said he approached Kastrati with the intention of arresting him, but when he was close to him, the attacker returned to his vehicle and pulled out the chainsaw before pursuing him while shouting obscenities. PC Cowan recalled being scared as Kastrati then came towards him. He told jurors, "I could hear the chainsaw revving. I thought, if I don't create distance, he is going to kill me." The constable added he was terrified and believed Kastrati would saw my arms off and chop my head off. Jurors heard him describing as swinging the chainsaw and yelling, "Get the cameras, I want the media, get the media here." Kastrati eventually stopped running and put the tool on the ground before PC Cowan managed to use pepper spray on him. PC Cowan suffered whiplash and a knee injury, which kept him off work for 4 months. The officer's colleague was also hurt. Chief Superintendent Rona Fraser gave an update on PC Cowan's well-being.
What's the mental state of the officer? Because obviously it's a harrowing experience.
Very harrowing experience, and my thoughts remain with the officer just now. He is doing well. He is receiving all the support that we can provide within the organisation and out with as well.
Is he back at work?
The officer is back at work, yes. It's very positive for us to have this strong message, and obviously Kastrati will now have to deal with the consequences of his actions. The sentence itself is a matter for the court, but from our perspective, officer safety is an absolute priority. And so we're really pleased that it's been taken seriously in this instance.
The court heard that Kastrati was arrested and questioned without either a lawyer or an Albanian interpreter present. He repeatedly made reference to the collision being a car accident when charges were read to him. Kastrati had denied the allegations at trial, but his lawyer said he accepted that he had brandished a chainsaw in what was a frightening and distressing incident. Prosecutor John Keenan KC stated Kastrati had deliberately drove at speed at the police car before threatening officers with the power tool with the intention of causing them serious harm. John Scullion KC, defending, told the sentencing that Kastrati had been driving his brother's car and had the chainsaw to do a gardening job. The advocate added his position because of his immigration status, he panicked following the collision and behaved in an erratic and reckless manner. When questioned by the police, he referred to mental health, saying that he suffered from stress, which caused him to make poor decisions. He conflates the police to anyone with authority in relation to his immigration status. He accepts responsibility for behaving as he did. He understands that he caused fear, alarm and distress to those at the scene and has expressed remorse for his behaviour. Judge William Gallagher described how he had to impose a significant penalty on Kastrati after his act of horrific violence.
Mr. Kastrati, will you stand up, please? At around lunchtime of the 6th of May 2024, 4 police officers were on duty in the area of Paisley Road in Paisley, dealing with incidents which had affected members of the public living there. 2 officers got into their car intending to return to Paisley to continue with their duties. Their marked police vehicle stopped at the junction of Glasgow Road to give way to traffic. Thus far, this was an ordinary day for all of the police officers involved. What happened then was utterly out of the ordinary. You were driving a car which collided with the police vehicle. You got out of that vehicle, and having glanced at the collision and the damage to the police vehicle, you began to run away. Constable Gary Cowan managed to get out of his damaged vehicle to carry out his normal duties to investigate the road traffic accident and to speak to you. As soon as you saw him do that, you didn't continue to run away, but you returned to your car, opened the rear door, and from the rear of the car removed a chainsaw. You removed it from the bag in which it was contained. You removed the guardrail on the chain. You started it up and roared the engine of the chainsaw. As you did so, you shouted, in English, an abusive remark about the police. PC Cowan, on seeing and hearing this, was compelled to try and escape from you and ran off. You then sprinted after him, all the while roaring the engine of the chainsaw and holding it out in front of you, shouting abusive remarks about the police over and over. In the trial, PC Cowan explained to the jury that he was terrified and thought if he did not get away from you, you were going to chop off his limbs and that you were going to kill him. You chased this officer in this awful and terrifying way over some significant distance down the roadway of a busy public road. Much of this was recorded on CCTV or on mobile phones, and it was obvious that you were in hot pursuit, wielding a deadly weapon, with little apparent regard for anything or anyone else other than PC Cowan. The video evidence showed several cars and other vehicles having to slow or stop when it was obvious to the drivers that a man wielding a chainsaw was chasing a police officer. One member of the public described trying to persuade PC Cowan to enter his vehicle, as he put it, to save his life. Constable Cowan's colleagues who'd been in Paisley Road and others were alerted by his emergency call for assistance and set off to Glasgow Road. The recorded images show you in pursuit of PC Cowan, but then turning when you become aware of the other officers, and you then moved in their direction, which understandably prompted them to retreat. As they did so, you returned your attention to PC Cowan and pursued him again. It was clear that the officers were trying to create a safe space around you for their own security and protection, and also for the protection of the public who were caught up in the middle of this violent scene. At some point, you gave up your attack upon PC Cowan and stopped running and put down the chainsaw, which was thrown out of your reach by another member of the public. You were then subdued and arrested by PC Cowan, and the officers who'd been initially present in Baclivey Road, together with many others who arrived to assist one of their colleagues in such a dangerous situation. In considering many instances of violence over the years in Scotland, I have never encountered the use of a chainsaw as a weapon being wielded. Many might have thought that this was the stuff only of horror films. To the social worker who interviewed you, there was some suggestion of remorse. But in the context of you having been badly treated by the police, and the claim it was the police who pushed you to be angry, but there is no context or justification for that, nor any possibility of that having included PC Cowan. On your behalf today, counsel properly suggested that you were stressed and anxious about your immigration status and conflated all authorities in connection with that to include the police. Even in accepting that you took the chainsaw from the car, you could not or would not explain to the social worker why you removed the chain or revved the engine. In addition to the comments which you made against the police at the time, there was some evidence presented in the trial that you said something about getting cameras present or wanting the media involved. Counsel highlighted the deletions made to the charge, and particular reference to you having deliberately driven at the police vehicle, and in that context emphasised to me that your behaviour should overall be seen to be as spontaneous rather than pre-planned. And in an imposing sentence, I acknowledge that. I accept that you are still a young man with no past criminal history. I accept that your family are available to you and supportive of you, but not of your behaviour. In imposing sentence, I have to regard a number of well-established principles. It's obvious that your behaviour was seriously alarming and impacted both on officers carrying out their professional duties, but on many members of the public in the middle of the day on a public road. The public would be rightly shocked and appalled by what they had seen. And many of them reacted and sought to offer or obtain assistance for the police, who were obviously in such danger. In sentencing, I have to reflect the obvious horror at this behaviour. The public require protection from behaviour of this sort, and the sentence that the court imposes has to make it obvious to you and to others the utter unacceptability of this sort of behaviour and the consequences which will flow from it. Your actions were so gross and so violent that the punishment must be significant. It is clear that at whatever point the thought entered your mind, you were, by the stage you were running in the street, intent upon causing catastrophic harm. There was no need for you to have returned to your vehicle at all. And having done so, there was no need for you to remove the chainsaw. And that you did so manifested a determination in your actions. Your behaviour caused significant harm, but the potential was even worse. In the end, the police officer was not seriously injured, but the impact upon him and his colleagues must have been enormous. Where PC Cowan was convinced that you were going to kill him. Other officers coming to his assistance were also faced with that situation, as were members of the public confronted by your outrageous behaviour. If PC Cowan had not been able to run fast enough, or if he had stumbled and fallen as he ran away from you, the scene could have been one of carnage. In imposing sentence, the court recognises and acknowledges that police officers have a wide range of duties and responsibilities. And in this case, having carried out more routine but nevertheless important tasks, they were confronted with an act of horrific violence. The court must have regard to the public service provided by police officers who daily put themselves in positions of danger, even if they have no warning that such a situation will arise. I'm satisfied that for all of the reasons I have sought to explain, I must impose upon you a very significant penalty. And accordingly, I impose upon you a sentence of 10 years imprisonment to date from the 7th of May 2024, when you were remanded in custody